Wall Street and big tech are not spending billions on AI because they think it's fun. They are spending it because they want to need fewer people. Not just factory work, not just drivers, not just robots in warehouses. White collar work, meetings, reports, planning, updates, decisions. The layer where a lot of middle managers live. And here is the dad version. You're not being replaced by a robot. You're being replaced by a script that does not need to leave early for a school play. At the same time, your salary is not stretching like it used to. Maybe you earn what used to sound like serious money, 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 pounds. But after mortgage, childcare, food bills, commuting, and family life, it can feel closer to the old 65k lifestyle. Not because an official calculator says that exact number, because your family does not live inside an average inflation chart. Your family lives inside the expensive bits. And now, just when time was already tight, return to office is taking the commute back. So today, we are going to talk about the 3 squeezes hitting work dads in 2026. The AI squeeze, the ghost raise, and the RTO tax, or the return to office tax. And then I'll show you the move that protects you from all 3. Not quitting your job tomorrow, not gambling the mortgage, not building some fantasy business until midnight, but creating an economic insurance policy from the skills you already have. Because one salary, one employer, and one calendar controlled by someone else is starting to look less like security and more like a single point of failure. Let's name what is happening. For years, the safe plan was simple: get a good job, climb the ladder, earn more, keep going. And for a while, that worked. The ladder felt safe because each step gave you more money, more status, and more control. But now, for a lot of dads, the ladder is starting to wobble. Not because you are bad at your job, not because you are caring, not because you are lazy, because the system around the job has changed. AI is making companies ask, do we need this many people coordinating work? Inflation has calmed down in the headlines, but the family cost floor has already moved. And the return to office rules are taking back hours you used to spend with family, resting, training, or building something quietly. This is why this feels so strange. On paper, you might be doing well, but in real life, you feel tight, you feel behind. You feel like the reward of being more responsible is just more pressure. I know you've probably had that moment when you look at your payslip and think, how are we still this stretched? Or you hear another AI headline and think, is my job still safe? Or you look at your calendar and think, when am I supposed to build anything? That feeling is not weakness, it is data. Your life is giving you information, and the information is this. You need more than a job title. You need a skill that can move with you. You need a way you can earn that does not depend fully on corporate headcount. And you need a plan that protects your family time instead of waiting for your employer to protect it for you. There's a quote I love by Marcus Aurelius: the impediment to action advances action. In plain dad English, the thing in the way can show you the way. AI shows you which parts of your job are weak. The cost squeeze shows you why one salary is fragile. RTO shows you why time has to be guarded like cash. So let's start with the first squeeze, the one nobody wants to say too clearly. Section 1, the white collar AI squeeze. Here's the part that should make every middle manager sit up a bit. The AI story is not just robots, it is not just driverless trucks, it's not some metal arm making coffee. The real story for a lot of dads is white collar work: emails, reports, meetings, dashboards, planning, updates, follow ups. That layer of work where one human gathers information from 5 other humans, turns it into a summary, drops it into Slack, updates a spreadsheet, and then explains it on a call. I call it the Slack layer. That does not mean Slack as the app. It means the human layer that moves messages, status, and decisions around a company. And if most of your job is moving information from one place to another, you're not doomed, but you are exposed. Because that is exactly the kind of work companies are trying to speed up, shrink, or automate. The International Energy Agency says the capital spend of 5 large technology companies passed $400 billion in 2025, driven by data centers, and is expected to rise by another 75% in 2026. What is capital spend? Capital spend just means money companies spend on long-term assets like data centers, chips, servers, and infrastructure. That money is not just spent so people can make fun images, it is being spent to change how work gets done. The World Economic Forum says 40% of employers expect to reduce their workforce where AI can automate tasks, while AI and information processing are expected to create 11 million jobs and displace 9 million others. So this is not simple doom. It is not AI kills every job. That is too lazy. The sharper point is this: AI changes what companies value. If your value is mostly coordination, reporting, chasing, summarizing, and passing information around, the company may start asking a hard question. Do we need a person doing this? And we're already seeing companies flatten layers. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy told staff that each senior team organization should increase the ratio of individual contributors to managers by at least 15%, saying fewer managers would remove layers and flatten the company. An individual contributor is just someone who does the work directly rather than managing other people. That phrase matters because when big companies say we need more individual contributors and fewer layers, middle managers should listen. Again, this is not panic. This is not me saying every manager is finished. A good manager who makes better decisions, grows people, spots risks, and removes blockers is still valuable. But a manager who mainly exists as a human router is at risk. A router just moves things from one place to another. That is the bit AI is coming for. So the dad question is not, am I a manager? The better question is, what problem do I solve when I manage? Do you calm chaos? Do you spot risk early? Do you turn messy work into clear next steps? Do you help people make better decisions? Do you help teams stop wasting time? Do you explain hard things in plain English? This is the skill bridge, not your title, your transferable skill. Transferable just means it can move with you. A title belongs to a company, a skill belongs to you. So instead of saying, I'm an operations manager, you might say, I help small teams turn messy work into a simple weekly plan. Instead of saying I'm a sales manager, you might say, I help business owners fix follow-up so good leads do not go cold. Instead of saying I'm a finance manager, you might say, I help self-employed dads see where the money is going before the month runs out. That is the difference. The job title can be cut, the skill can travel. Let's make this real. Imagine a dad called Tom. Tom manages a team of 12. His calendar is full. He spends half his week getting updates, writing summaries, chasing decisions, and joining meetings about meetings. Then the company brings in AI tools. Suddenly, the weekly report writes itself. The project dashboard updates on its own. The meeting notes are automatic. The first draft of the plan is done in seconds, and leadership starts asking, why are there still so many people in the middle? Tom has two choices. He can defend the old version of his job, or he can ask, what is the human skill underneath this? Maybe Tom is brilliant at spotting bottlenecks, the one thing slowing everything else down. That skill is valuable outside the company. Small business owners have bottlenecks everywhere. Missed follow-ups, messy projects, unclear roles, bad handovers, poor systems. Tom does not need to become a tech founder. He needs to turn that skill into a simple paid service. That is a dad move. Not panic, not denial, translation. You translate corporate experience into a problem real people will pay to solve. Because AI is not asking, can your job be automated? It's asking, what part of your value is truly yours? And that question gets even sharper when the money side is also under pressure. Section 2, the ghost raise. Let's talk about the raise that does not feel like a raise. I call it the ghost raise. Your salary goes up, but your life does not get lighter. You get 4%, maybe 5%. Maybe it looks good on paper. Then the mortgage renews. Childcare moves. Food stays high. Energy does not go back to where it was. The train costs more. The car costs more. The school trip costs more. And the family holiday becomes a spreadsheet event. Trust me, I know. So yes, maybe you're earning what used to sound like serious money. Maybe even 80K, 90K, 100,000. But here is the bit nobody wants to say. 100K in 2026 does not always feel like 100K used to feel. For a working dad with a mortgage, childcare, food, bills, commuting costs, and family expenses, it can feel closer to the old 65K lifestyle. Not because the official inflation calculator says that exact number, but because your family does not live inside an average inflation chart. Your family lives inside the expensive bits: housing, childcare, food, fuel, energy, school costs. The stuff you cannot just stop buying. That is why the ghost raise hurts so much. The raise appears on your payslip, then real life eats it before you feel it. The Office for National Statistics said UK CPI inflation was 2.8% in the year to April 2026, down from 3.3% in March. So yes, the headline number has cooled, but low inflation does not mean prices go back down where they were. It usually means prices are rising more slowly from a higher base. That is a bit a lot of news reports skip over. And the family cost base has already moved. The House of Commons Library said the high inflation period from 2021 to 2024 is still affecting household incomes, spending, poverty, savings, and debt. Childcare is one of the clearest dad life examples. Corum's 2026 childcare survey says childcare costs for under twos in England rose year after year up to 2024, often above inflation. And a part-time place in 2024 cost families almost triple what they paid in 2021. So when a dad says, I earn more, but I feel poorer, he's not imagining it. He is feeling the cost floor move. The floor moved on food. The floor moved on housing. The floor moved on childcare. The floor moved on family life. And even looking ahead, the picture is not exactly relaxing. The Resolution Foundation says the Office for Budget Responsibility expects average incomes to grow by only 0.3% a year over the rest of the decade. So the old plan starts to look weak. One salary, one employer, one yearly raise, one bonus if the company feels generous. That used to feel responsible. Now for a lot of dads, it feels exposed, not because the salary is bad, because one salary has to carry too much. It has to carry the mortgage, the bills, the emergency fund, the pension, the family memories, the school trips, the car, the food shop, the peace in the house. That is a lot to put on one pipe. And when that pipe gets squeezed, the whole home feels it. Here is the dad version. You won the game they told you to play. You got the better job. You got the bigger salary. You became the provider. But the game changed while you were playing it. Now the question is not only how do I get a better raise? That still matters. Of course it does. But the bigger question is this: how do I stop one salary carrying the whole future of my family? Because one salary is not just risky now. For a lot of dads, it's becoming a math problem. That's where the economic insurance policy comes in. Not quitting, not panicking, not gambling the mortgage, just proving that your skills can earn outside the payslip. A small paid project, a first customer, a simple service, something that says, my value does not only exist inside the company. That proof matters because the most dangerous moment is not losing a job. The most dangerous moment is losing a job and realizing your confidence was attached to a job title. You want skills that move. You want options. You want a second path forming before you need it. Because the ghost race tells you something important. The salary can go up while your freedom goes down. And that is the warning sign. But I know what you might be thinking. Look, I get it. But I barely have time now. Exactly. That brings us to the third squeeze. The one that steals time before you even sit down. Quick one before we keep going. If this is making you think, I need a second path, but I don't know what to build, grab the free Business Fit Blueprint for Working Dads. It's in the description. It's a 45 to 60-minute self-audit to find that clearest business direction from your real skills and real life. Section 3, the RTO tax. Now let's talk about return to office. RTO means your company wants you back in the office more often. And for a lot of dads, this is not just a work policy. It's a time tax because they are not only asking for your work, they are asking for your commute. They are asking for your school run buffer. They are asking for the hour where you might have trained or rested or read with your kid, or built quietly after dinner because you were not already cooked from travel. Amazon told corporate staff to return to the office 5 days a week from January 2025. In the same message, Andy Jassy also said the company wanted fewer management layers and a higher ratio of individual contributors to managers. JP Morgan told hybrid staff to return to the office 5 days a week from March 2025, and Reuters reported staff complaints about commuting costs, childcare costs, mental health, and stress. And UK office attendance has been rising too. The Guardian reported in March 2026 that average UK office attendance had reached its highest level since before COVID, while banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs were among those pushing full-time office returns. So no, you are not imagining the shift. The office is back on the table. And for dads, the hidden cost is not just money, it's time. Government travel data for England shows people spent about 362 hours traveling in 2024, around 60 minutes per day on average. Now add that up. Even 1 hour a day is 5 hours a week. For some dads, it is more like 8 or 10. That is the dad window getting taxed before it even begins. And here's the bit that annoys me. The company will call it culture. They will call it collaboration. They will call it learning. And sometimes, yes, being together helps. Of course it does. But for a dad, the cost lands at home. It lands when the train is delayed. It lands when your partner has carried the evening alone. It lands when your child says, "Are you home tomorrow?" And you have to check your calendar before answering. This is not just a commute. That is a trade. They are asking you to trade hours of your kid's childhood for a cubicle. That sounds dramatic, but tell me where it is wrong. If the commute takes 10 hours a week, that time is coming from somewhere. It comes from family, sleep, fitness, calm, marriage, the small bits of life that do not look urgent until they are gone. So the move is not to rage at RTO all day. That might feel good for 5 minutes, but it does not build power. The move is to reclaim what you can. If you have a commute, use it as a builder's yard. Not the whole build, the yard. You do not deliver client work while driving. You do not create chaos on the train. You do not turn every minute into pressure, but you can listen. You can think. You can record voice notes. You can draft one sentence. You can decide tonight's task before you get home. You can use decision preloading so the dad window is not wasted choosing what to do. A dad on a train can turn one painful problem into one sentence. A dad walking from the train station can speak out a rough idea. Dad in the car can listen to his own voice memo and refine it. The commute does not become the business, but it can prepare the business. That matters, because if RTO takes 5 hours, you cannot give it another 5 hours of resentment. You need to convert some of that dead time into direction. Not hustle, direction. Hustle says do more. Direction says do the right next thing before the house goes quiet. And this is where the three squeezes meet. AI squeezes the job. Costs squeeze the salary. RTO squeezes the time. So the answer has to be small, sharp, and real. Not a giant dream, not a massive risk, a skill bridge that becomes an economic insurance policy. Now let's make that practical. Section 4, the move that protects you from all three. If you take one thing from this video, make it this. Do not build a business because you hate your job. Build one because your family needs options. That is a different energy. Hating your job makes you reckless. Options make you steady. And dads need steady. You're not trying to become an 18-year-old with no bills and unlimited evenings. You are trying to become a man whose skills are not trapped inside one company. So the move is simple. Take one pressure from your working life and turn it into one useful paid service. A paid service just means someone pays you to solve a clear problem for them. Not a course, not an app, not a big brand, not a content machine. One problem, one result, one type of person. Let's bring the three squeezes together. If AI is coming for coordination, your service should not be I coordinate stuff. It should be the deeper human skill. I help founders make better weekly decisions, whatever that is. I help Small teams remove bottlenecks. I help business owners turn messy follow-up into clear next steps. If a salary is being squeezed, the service needs to be worth real money, not £25 here and there, not 3 evenings for a thank you. Use the family filter. Is this price worth an hour from your kid? If RTO is squeezing time, the service has to fit the dad window. Small delivery, clear result, no endless calls, no custom chaos for every person. This is where packaging matters. Packaging means turning your help into a named service, not selling random hours. Monday decision reset, follow-up fix, bottleneck audit, cash clarity session. These are not magic names, they are containers, like a toolbox. The point of a toolbox is not to look pretty. It is to keep the right tools ready when the job starts. Your business needs a toolbox, not a mansion. That means one clear service you can deliver without blowing up your family life. Let's use Tom again. Tom is a middle manager who used to think his value was managing people. Now he sees the deeper skill. He spots bottlenecks. So he creates a simple bottleneck audit for small business owners. One call, one map of what is slowing the business down, one short action plan, one follow-up message a week later. He sends 5 warm messages. He gets 2 chats. One person says yes. That first payment is not about getting rich. It is proof. Proof that his skill can move. Proof that his value is not owned by the employer. Proof that he is not helpless if the company flattens the org chart. That is the economic insurance policy. It starts small, but emotionally it is huge, because the minute you earn outside the payslip, your brain changes. You stop seeing yourself only as an employee. You start seeing yourself as a producer, not in a loud way, in a grounded way. You still show up at home, you still act responsibly, but inside something shifts. You know you can build. That is what this is about. Not escaping tomorrow. Not promising your partner some wild plan, not becoming another absent dad chasing freedom while missing bath time. This is about building proof in the margins, because the world is already changing. The AI spend is happening. The affordability pressure is real. The office push is real. The question is not whether those forces are fair. The question is whether you will wait for them to decide your next move. So do not waste the squeeze. Use it. Let it make you sharper. Let it make you simpler. Let it make you build something that fits your real life. Not the internet version of your business, the dad version. Small, useful, calm, paid, built around family. Because the safest dad in 2026 is not the dad with the fanciest job title. It is the dad whose skills can move. Here is your move this week. Write down the 3 squeezes on one page. AI squeeze, salary squeeze, RTO squeeze. Under each one, write one honest sentence about how it is showing up in your life. Then answer this. What skill do I already have that could protect my family from this? Not a new dream, not a new identity, a skill you already use. Turn that skill into one simple sentence. I help this kind of person solve this painful problem. That is your starting point, because one salary might pay the bills, but one movable skill gives you options. And in the next video, we'll take that one sentence and turn it into a simple paid service you can test inside the dad window.